go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, darling. Welcome to the Awaken Woman podcast. I'm so grateful to have you here. Boy, have I got a cracker of an episode for you ladies. It is Claire. I am your confidence coach, and I am here in a husky voice, as you can probably tell, because this is what we do as busy working women. So thank you so much for joining us here at the Awaken Woman podcast. I am joined by a very beautiful woman who is going to blow your mind. And we are here to help women have confident conversations around the demands of working women. So that is what today's podcast is all about. I'm an ex-corporate worker who had inflexibility in her life, and now we are raising our voice as a collective to bring it together for women to start having conversations about what they want from their journey as a mother, as a wife, and in their career. So before we go, I'm going to ask you to welcome to the podcast Jaci Moro, who is living in London. Jaci, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. I really appreciate you inviting me to do this podcast. Thank you.
You're most welcome. So as I said, Jaci is living in London. I am here in Melbourne in Australia, and we are chatting via the power of social media. So yes, there are bad things happening, but this is the good side of social media where we get to come together and really share a collective voice. So Jaci, before we get started, who is Jaci?
So Jaci in a nutshell. So I'm a Brazilian living in London for the past 14 years. I'm currently working in a corporate world. I'm an account manager for a coffee company. So I'm a coffee obsessed. I'm a traveler. Well, in my single days, I've traveled over 20 countries. Used to be a wild person, loved my drink. And then I met my husband, and shortly after we found out that we were the perfect people for each other, we got married, and we decided to have a baby a year later. And that changed my life completely. It was the best thing that happened to my life, but as well, it was the hardest thing. So yeah, being a mom in the corporate world is not the easiest. But yeah, there's a lot of juggling. But yeah, so this is Jaci in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, it's a busy nutshell. It is a great story.
Yes.
There are a few sentences that Jaci has left out that I've read in a bio, and I'm not going to share on this podcast because it's a cracker. Your life sounds like every life we want to live through vicariously through. It is amazing. So I am in Melbourne, and we do love our coffee. So I have one or two a day because I don't need any more energy than that. But I love it. I love how you found a passion and you broke out of a mold that you may have had imposed on you as a woman in Brazil, and you forged a life that probably you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even have dreamt of this when you're a girl, did you?
Yeah, no, never thought of that. When I was a girl, I wanted it to be a criminologist, so I wanted it to work in the police, and yeah, so I ended up coming to London when I was 18, because I wanted it to improve my English and then start uni. But when I got here, I remember uni used to be around £3,000 a year. And then after a year that I got here, it jumped to £9,000 a year. So I was like, there's no way that I can pay that. So and then I started working, and then I started working as a barista, and I found a passion in that. And so I started working in coffee shops. I worked in bars as well, in restaurants. But yeah, I wanted to pursue the career in coffee. And as you know, like in Australia, the coffee culture is amazing. And in London, it was not as much about 14 years ago. So yeah, I just wanted it to go for that. And then I ended up in the corporate world working as an account manager for a coffee company. So basically now I work so I manage various customers, like big customers. I've got one of my biggest customers is Google. So Google, Snapchat, and yeah, so it's very busy, and I'm grateful that I still can work in the world that I love, which is coffee. But yeah, making coffee better, it's amazing, educating people on how to have a good coffee.
It is. And is it ironic that you're from Brazil, you've moved to London, and you're surrounded by coffee?
Yes,
Is that to you that you have almost done a full circle in your life, that you've moved away to criminology and you are living a coffee life as a Brazilian in London.
Yeah, nah, it's amazing. And I'm half Italian as well. So the coffee runs in my blood.
It's like brown gold liquid running through you, isn't
Yeah.
it? Next to olive oil. Oh, and
Yes.
that is amazing. That is a story that you're going to be able to pass on, and a free spirit that is a legacy of yours that you're going to be able to hand down. That is the most amazing thing. Now, you've said you've got some pretty major clients, and sometimes when people say they've got big clients, we don't often hear of them. But to have Google and Snapchat as one of your clients is next level. How do you
It's
find the balance between working in corporate world, so putting your hat on in a very masculine energy, and then finding balance to be the wife and the mum? How do you do that?
it's very, very hard. The juggling of the work-life balance is very hard. But how I do it is planning, and it sounds like, I know when you are a mom, planning and things that don't ever go as planned. But I think for you to have a planned day, a planned week, a planned month, it helps out a lot, because at least you have some guidance on what to do. So basically, I came back to work when my baby was 4 months old, and that was the hardest decision that I had to take in my life. But my career was taking off when I got pregnant, and I didn't want to lose that momentum. So I thought, am I going to be a stay-home mom for a year, and then lose that momentum? Because, as you know, when we are a mom, our world is our baby. So all we do is baby talk. Everything that we do is baby related. And many times we end up losing ourselves. So you go out for a drink with your friends and you don't know what to talk about other than your baby. So, and it's really hard as well with people that don't have babies to understand. So you kind of feel left out. So I was like, do I want to do that, or do I just want to go for it and go for my career, work towards a promotion? So I said, yeah, let's do it. So I sent my baby to nursery when he was 4 months old. And that took a lot of planning. And I think the hardest thing for me is the concentration, because obviously, being a woman's mind is usually more switched on.
Yeah, we've
I
all got
find
100 tabs open at the same time.
Yes, exactly. And I find that men are very laid back. So
Yes.
everything is okay. And we have to think about the son's well-being, the jobs that they have to take, our job, the house, the supermarket, if they have clean clothes. So we have to think about our partner, what we're gonna have for dinner. So it's everything, and the job itself. So yeah, as you said, like my mind has got 500 tabs open at the same time.
Yep.
And I find that planning, it helps me so much. And also because I've sent my son to nursery when he was 4 months old, so I wanted to breastfeed him. And this is hard. Like, this is hard. So
Yep.
so breastfeed, being a working mom, breastfeeding a baby, it's hard. It's hard work. So how I've done it, again, planning. So I've decided to keep breastfeeding him when he was born. I wanted to do that because I wanted to have that bond, because he stayed 10 hours a day in nursery.
Yep.
So he goes for 3 days and a half in nursery. So we have 1.5 day that I work at home with him, which is really hard as well. So everything is really but so it took me a lot of planning. So I said, okay, what do I need to do? So I started like searching a lot of things, reading a lot of Instagram posts. Like, Instagram is amazing, like the amount of information that you can find on Instagram. So I planned everything. So I started freezing my milk. I started expressing my milk and freezing it and putting dates on it. So when he used to go to nursery, he used to have like 6 feeds a day. So I would send 6 pouches of milk a day. So I was counting the other day, doing the maths. I sent to nursery over 60 liters of milk.
Wow.
So it's like it's a milk production that you have to keep going. And also when you breastfeed, you need to keep that production going. So I found really hard in the corporate world that people are not very understanding on breastfeeding. So I think the breastfeeding is still a taboo for people to talk, because I know many moms that gave up that because people are not understanding, so they don't have a designated room to express milk. When you talk about expressing milk, people are like, "Ew, why are you talking about that?"
And you're often in a cleaning cupboard. You're not in a nice, comfortable room that is going to allow you to express milk. You're shoved away in a little corner that's often cold or hasn't been used, and that is not inviting place to do what you want to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. And these as well affects the whole breast the milk production. So you start getting agitated, and you produce cortisol, and that goes to your milk. So you need a very relaxing and inviting place to do that. And I know, like, my company per se, they have been very flexible. But many times I had to express in my car because I didn't have where to do it. When I went to see clients, I was once offered to express milk in the bathroom. And I was like, well, would you eat in the bathroom? No, you wouldn't. Why would I have to express my son's milk, my son's food in the bathroom? So I often had to express it in my car, but obviously I stood my ground. I said, even if I was in a meeting, I said, okay, I need to express milk now. So we need to wrap this up. And I think that many women don't, because obviously in any world, but especially the corporate world, is very masculine. And being a woman in a corporate world is already harder to find your place. You already have to find.
Absolutely. You've got to prove yourself, right? You walk into anything in the corporate world and you have this stigma that you need to prove yourself. Everything that got you to that point is being scrubbed out, does no longer exist. Any of your good stuff is gone. All of those good projects you worked on, see you later, they no longer exist because now you're being judged and looked at from here on in, which is really unfair, especially as a working mum coming back from maternity leave. You're not the same person that you walked out as. You're an enhanced version, but they don't take that into account. That's what I felt when I came back twice.
And
with the kids.
Exactly it. And I find, like, for men, when you come back to work so early, they would never understand what is to be a mom. Because even though if a dad is 100% participating in the life, it's not nowhere near on what a mom does. And the amount of things that we need to juggle, even if we are stay-at-home moms, people think that it's easy to be at home, like, and many times your partner comes at home and you have the messiest hair and you have the house, like, really, you didn't clean anything. And sometimes we feel guilty. It's like, oh, you were working, but I stayed at home. But it's really hard. It's really hard to look after a baby. And men will never understand what that means. And women, when you come back to the corporate, like when you come back to work, it's like, oh, you left your son at 4 months old in nursery. You don't know those people. So the mom guilt is massive. You are doing a job where you have to prove yourself every day, and you feel guilty for leaving your baby. So your mind, it's really easy to crumble. It's really easy.
Absolutely. And you don't have the self-awareness to be strong at that moment. It's the effect of hindsight that you are so mentally strong. But at that point in time, you are at your weakest because you've left behind, you spent 4 months, 6 months, however long, becoming a person you never knew. You never got a handbook in being a mum. You didn't know how your baby was going to react. Maybe your baby didn't sleep like the books tell you. They don't feed like the books tell you. And then you adjust to a new life and you walk into work and you are being bombarded by people who have forgotten that you've been out of the business. And that your mind is just thinking about, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Do people not remember I've only been gone? What are you asking me for? It's 12 o'clock. I'm hungry. It's all these little bits and pieces. And then if you get a call from daycare saying that your kids are sick and that you need to drop everything, that is like an
Yeah.
atomic bomb going off in the business, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and also, well, thankfully, my job is more flexible than my husband is, but I can just imagine. Well, I know people that their job is not flexible at all. I have a friend that the daycare called and her boss said, "Well, you cannot go now. We've got an event. You need to help. Like, what are we gonna do without you?" And she left work. She didn't want to work anymore. And I've seen so many people not coming back to work because the world is not prepared for moms. And like, for example, I still have that. My son is 1 year and 1 month old, and I still have that thing. Can I do it? I doubt myself all the time. But I think it's great as well, like Instagram, social media. It's great for people like you, that you have your Instagram and you inspire women. And I think that when we look at other women that can do it, and I know it's really hard, but we must not forget that we can do it. We are heroes, like moms, and like being a mom itself. You're a hero. You're a hero to that little human. You do everything that you possibly can to make that little human grow up well and alive, because it doesn't come with a manual. So you need to figure out pretty much everything yourself. And also in here, we don't have family support. So it's just my husband and I. So, like, for example, I travel all over the country. So I travel a lot with my job, and I cannot leave work. I cannot leave home before 8 a.m. because I need to take him to daycare, and I cannot come back after 6 because I need to pick him up at the daycare. So it's a whole lot of planning, and I know I keep saying that, but planning, ladies, it's what you need. Write it down in a paper, use your calendar. And even used that before when I got pregnant. Well, actually, before I got pregnant, I started planning, and my husband used to say that I'm the Google crazy, because everything I'm on Google. I'm looking. I knew every illness that my child could possibly get. I knew what to do in each of these things. I knew how I was going to do the breastfeeding. Sleeping, oh gosh,
Oh,
is crucial, because you need to know how to help this little baby to sleep. And I find that we don't have enough information. I remember when I got pregnant, everyone used to say, enjoy to sleep now because you're not going to sleep. And it takes a hell lot of planning and to get your child to sleep, like through the night. And so inform yourselves. Read, like, especially if you want to breastfeed, it's hard. It's really hard because your baby don't know, you don't know. And you do, and I find as well, I'm not sure how it is in Australia, but in here, when you are in hospital, they look at you and you're like, yeah, you're doing okay. Yeah, but if you cannot do it, just give formula.
yeah,
And that does encourage you a lot, because you're like, well, I want to breastfeed my baby, but it's hard. My nipple is cracked. What do I do?
yeah,
Like, it was, and I mean, there's nothing wrong in giving formula to your baby if you choose to do that. But I find that there is not enough information and support within breastfeeding and sleeping. Because if you see, one of the biggest causes for postpartum depression is the lack of sleep.
yep,
And I think that's not talked about enough
yep,
on how to put your baby to sleep. It's really hard, but it's doable. And it's a lot of is a whole process that you need to follow. You need to create a routine from day one for your baby. And where did you read that? There is no one talks about that in the hospital, on when you go to see your midwives. They don't talk about that. They don't tell you how to plan for your baby to sleep through. So I think informing yourself on the sleeping routines is the best thing. This is the best thing that I've done, and is the best advice that I can give to women that will stay at home, and especially the ones that will work out, because there's nothing worse that you going to work
Yep.
and you didn't have any sleep.
Oh, it's the worst, isn't it? Now, when we've been talking about sleeping and breastfeeding, and there's a reason for this, because not only are you in the corporate world and a mum and having no family support, tell us what you are studying right now, just
Yeah,
for
so
fun.
I'm studying to be a sleep consultant and a breastfeeding like a lactation consultant.
Yep.
So I am, well, I'm working in a corporate world, and
Yep.
I am a mom, and with the little time I have, I take my phone and I read about things, and shortly I wanna do a course, which obviously will require time, so I'm just trying to find the time to fit that in my diary. But for the long term, I want to help moms.
Yep.
So I absolutely love my job. I love what I do. But I think in a 10 years time, and even on the side of this, I think with planning you can do anything if you
Mm-hmm.
if you plan ahead of yourself.
Yep.
So I want to continue doing what I do until I can, but I want to help moms. I want to create a space for moms to share experiences and help moms, because I've got my son to sleep through the night from when he was not even 3 months old.
Mm.
And that took a lot of planning. It took a lot of routine
Yep.
to be put in place. And yeah, I feel like the world doesn't help moms to understand how crucial sleeping is
Yep.
for a well-being of yourself and your baby,
Yep.
and as well as breastfeeding. Well, obviously there are moms that don't want to breastfeed, or but like people say, oh, I couldn't breastfeed. Do you know that only 1% of women are not able to produce milk?
Yep.
So if you cannot breastfeed, because it takes a lot of techniques to get a good breastfeeding, and yeah, so I'm studying for that, and in the future I want to be able to help women and be a consultant to help women to sleep, because oh God, I mean, even my son sleeps through the night from when he's 3 months old. And nowadays he does 12 hours straight. But there are nights that he doesn't want to. There are nights that he's sick, that he doesn't he cannot sleep, and then there is nothing that I can do to put him back to sleep. And next day you're shattered.
Yeah.
You cannot do anything, let alone work. And especially at work, we need to concentrate. We need to deal with other
Yeah.
people. So yeah, in the future, and hopefully in the near future, I can put these together and help women create an Instagram where we can share experiences, and I can help women to find a routine and put their babies to sleep, like do a tailored consultation, because obviously every baby is different.
Yeah.
There are a lot of techniques that it helps, but every baby is different. You need
Yep.
to Yeah, you need to find that. And also, like for example, I've never paid for a course on sleeping, and I've never paid a sleep consultant. It's only with the information that I found on the internet, studying, reading books, and yeah, and on that. So I want to be able to share this knowledge with other women, because I feel there's not talked enough about
Yeah.
that.
And I think it's all about creating a community that is away from being a perfect mum. So I know
Yeah.
that what we struggle with, there is so much information when you first become pregnant. You are so supported throughout your pregnancy. You go to hospital. And then I always remember thinking, okay, we bring the boys home and we put them in the capsule in the middle of the lounge room. And now what do we do? And any concern that you raise, anything you say, yeah, that's normal. Well, it really is it normal? But what you're going to be doing for mums is, which is the missing piece, and I feel that that's what I feel is that you're actually going to be supporting mums, not so much supporting the babies, which is
Yes. Yeah,
we
because
will be supporting babies. We're not letting them on their own. They're not going to be fending for themselves. Relax, everyone that's listening and having a meltdown. It is about supporting mums so that you don't fall into postpartum depression. You don't fall into the scrolling on Instagram and looking at all these perfect mums who have got their babies to sleep in a week. that go out for coffee, go to the gym, and they're all got their post-baby body back. None of that is real, ladies. None of
No,
that is
it's
real.
it's
It
the
is fake.
minority. And I think like well, for example, I've done baby-led weaning with my baby, and my baby's a year, 1 month, and he cannot feed himself with a spoon yet. And he eats with his hand and all of that. But the other day I was thinking, I was like, oh God, I was seeing this woman on the internet. And I was on Instagram, I was scrolling down, and her baby with 9 months old, he would like use a fork and use a spoon. And I was like, oh my God, look, I wanted it to do that. And my husband said, like, hey, hang on a minute, like you work out, you work full-time, you're a full-time worker. It's amazing what you're doing. And sometimes we look at Instagram, sometimes social media, I think social media is amazing. Like, for example, as I said, a lot of things that I found was on social media, but it can be crucial, it can be cruel to moms that we look at that. And then, for example, I started feeling bad because my baby cannot feed himself with a spoon and a fork. And but we forget everything else that we've done, because we look at these people and it was like, oh, that person, oh, he got really slim, she has time to go to the gym. But we need to look at in a bigger picture what we do for our babies. And I think that it's really, really hard, but we need to take some time for ourselves and think and take the positive what we've been doing. So and I think if you're struggling, try to take 10-15 minutes just yourself, leave the baby with your partner or leave the baby with someone, and then just think, like stop and think, get a cup of coffee, get a beer, get a whatever you feel like, and then just think all of the good things that you were doing. Because being a mom, you forget you forget who you are, you forget all the good things you were doing, you forget to brush your hair, you forget to brush your teeth, you forget to take a shower sometimes. Like I have no idea when was the last time that I could go to the toilet with the door closed.
Oh, it doesn't get any easier when you get bigger kids. Mine are 11 and 7, and I still can't do that. So sorry to break that news to you. You never shower in peace.
And I think I think it's amazing. I wouldn't change it for the world, but I think we just need to take a step back and think and realize all of the good things on how strong we are. And if you were staying at home or if you were working, we need that space for us to realize how great we are doing. Because just for you to raise a human, can you imagine? Like, he's crazy.
It's not.
It's crazy. It's
And
nuts.
we also need to remove the stigma and judgment around whether you do go back to work or whether you choose to stay home. I was very
Yeah.
much a working mum. I was home with my eldest for 6 months and then 10 months with my youngest. But I'm very much a working mum, and that is similar to you. It was how my routine, that is how I felt more comfortable. That is how I felt I was able to hold it all together, because I felt isolated being at home as a full-time mum. I didn't know how to do that, but I was able to manage that flexibility and be that, my kids still went to daycare, I still did all those things. But we need to remove that stigma. What would you say to that?
No, I absolutely, absolutely. I think that I think that we should even if you choose to be at home, or if you want to go back to work, but I think that many moms feel like, oh, I don't want to go back to work because what if my son, I will leave with my son in a daycare, and it's hard to leave your son with someone that you need to put that trust. Like what I see in that is that I am working out all the time, and sometimes I leave my baby 10 hours a day in nursery for 3 days and a half. When he's at home with me, I barely can give him attention because I'm raising him on a Montessori way. He doesn't see a screen, so I don't put him in front of the TV, so I'm interacting with him. But as I see that is that he will grow up seeing that his mom can do exactly the same thing as his dad. So he will not have that mentality that the woman has to be at home cleaning and cooking, so everything at home is shared. Because what I want to break is that traditional mentality that I think that the world has it, that the men think that it's okay for the woman to be doing the dishes, doing the clothes, doing the shopping, thinking of the cleaning. And no, we need to break that. And especially having a son, and also not a daughter as well. You don't want to grow a child thinking that she has to do all these chores. Everything needs to be shared.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm a boy mum, so my two are boys, and I know that I don't know what it's like to raise a daughter. Thank God sometimes I have two boys, but I'm raising emotionally intelligent young men who are going to be independent, but who are also going to know that life is a partnership, and that at times they all need to put in. My kids have chores. It's not a lot. It's just the stuff that I don't want to do because I really hate emptying the dishwasher and I really hate laundry.
Oh,
So I
can't
pay my kids pocket money to do the crappy, shitty jobs I don't want to do. But it's teaching them that even on the really hard days you don't feel like doing anything, you have to take care of people, or you're going to have to take care of yourself. Don't just leave the dishes on the bench or on the plate. No, we are strong, independent young men who know how to feel and express that, but take care of that so they fall into that softness, so they fall into that feminine side of being able to take care of people. Because us strong, independent women, as much as we say we just want to be taken care of. And we can't ask men to take care of us. We can't do it. It's something in us that is viscerally in us. We can't do it. So we need to have men in our lives who are in tune to go, she needs me to help her right now.
Yeah, exactly.
That is my mission. That's a different podcast altogether. But that is what we're doing for boys.
Yeah, and I think this is exactly it. I think that we need to get in the mentality of like, for example, I have an oldest brother. So I have a brother. He's the oldest in between the three of us. And my brother and my dad never washed dishes. They never cooked. They never took their plates to the sink. But the girls, yes, the girls had to help the mom to clean the house. And I want to break that mentality. And with my husband, the same. The girls used to do the house chores and the boys used to help the dad to do stuff. But I think that when we are at home, as you said, is a partnership. Yeah. So the man needs to think in the same way as a woman to put the dishes in the dishwasher, to empty the dishwasher, to cook, to have the clothes clean. Because is so much more pressure on the mom if she has to do all that.
And it's the mental fatigue. It's the mentally thinking of, I've got to get dinner done. The kids have got basketball tonight at 5:00. It's 2:30. I've got to go pick up the kids, get them home, get them fed, get them changed, go to basketball. Oh, there's something else in between. And then there's dinner. And I'm meant to have them in bed by 7:30, which never happens. And then I'm meant to have time with my partner and my husband. And then I've got all these other things. It's that mental load and sharing. It's that phone call to say, I'm on my way home early. Do you want me to pick up anything at the shop? Don't worry about dinner. I've sorted it out. What do you want to do this weekend? Not what are we doing this weekend? What do you want to do? And it's those little tweaks in conversations. If you can nurture those conversations with your boys, with your kids and your partner, it changes the game entirely. I can promise you, it is that confident conversation, right?
Yeah, no, and it is. And I think that the example is more than anything. So a child, a boy or a girl growing, like knowing that, wow, my mom is working full time outside, and she comes home and like my dad is cooking tonight, so my dad is cleaning the house, and it's okay, and I think that we need to raise our kids to that mentality of having that partnership at home, because otherwise it puts so much pressure on us women. Have that. And I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I obviously want equity between men and women, but we are different humans. We have different mentalities, and I think that, but when it comes to the house work of being a family, it's, as you said, is a partnership, and we need to raise kids with that mentality.
Yeah, and we have to stop thinking that they already know it, because they don't. And we have to take on that lead and show and be, like you said, the living demonstration. Take the responsibility to take the action of what you want to see in your life. Take the
Yeah.
responsibility to take the action of what you want your kids to be, and show them what it's like to be an adult. Show them how it is to cry on a bad day, but show them what a bad day looks like without reacting. Show them what it's like to take care of a family.
Yeah,
Share the
exactly.
responsibility. We've got to be that living demonstration. Otherwise, they're just not going to know. They just
Yeah,
don't know.
exactly. And I think that kids, they don't take what you say, they take into examples of what you do. So
Yeah,
you being that example, like you and your partner, it's and I think it's great. And I think, and this is how we're gonna break the mentality of of these super load on moms.
absolutely. So as we wrap this up, Jaci, tell me, what are you most excited about for the future?
I am most excited. I want to do, I cannot wait to start doing these sleeping and lactation consultancy. I cannot wait to be able to help moms out there
Yeah,
who are struggling with sleeping and struggling with breastfeeding. So this is what I'm most excited about at the moment.
that is amazing. That is going to be so much. And I think it's a game changer in the sense that you are focusing on the health of mums, which is
Yes.
a little bit forgotten. And that is what
Yeah,
is
moms are
really important.
completely forgotten. Like, but
You're
if
just a
yeah,
vessel that produced a child at the end of the day, right?
yes, yeah. So I feel that everyone was like, oh, how is the baby? How is it? But how we are, what
Yeah,
we are going through, it's well, yeah, no, it's not easy. And I think that I want to take care of moms because we need to be taken care of.
absolutely. And we also need to ask for help and be allowed to allow others to take care of us, because
Yeah, exactly.
that's a new challenge for us as well. So
Yeah, exactly. Stand our ground and say, put your hand up and say, I need help with this. You
yeah.
know, I need to talk about this. I need to let people know what my struggles, because life is not always roses,
No, and
you
it's not
know?
going to get any easier by hiding away either. We
Yeah,
have to have those difficult conversations. You have to be brave and be courageous. But the reward for effort is so much more greater than letting it slide and letting it bubble away until you explode. So
yeah,
that is what
exactly.
is amazing.
And this is why I think that what you do is amazing, because you are always you are also looking after moms, because we completely forget who we are
Yeah.
when we have a child, and even as I said, when we stay at home or when we are working full time, part time, we forget who we are. And I think it's amazing what you do, that you help women to find their go back to their feet.
Yeah, thank you. It is such a rewarding job after working in so many years. It is something that is I get to do every day that is not work. So it's amazing. It's also a
Yeah.
conversation I used to say to my kids all the time. I used to come home and they used to bust my chops. And I'm like, do you not know who I am at work? Like, you can't, if you spoke to me like that at work, mate, you're out. You're fired. Can't
Yeah.
fire you. I made you.
Yeah.
How rude. Oh my goodness. So everyone that's listening, I really appreciate your time. Jaci, thank you so much for your amazing insight. Everyone that's listening, I hope that you noticed that there was a few code words in planning, and it's all about coordination, partnership, and planning. That is the key to success. That is what Jaci has been able to live and embody throughout her time as a mum over the last year and a month, um, and managing everything that she needs to do to be the wife, to be a corporate worker, as well as a mum. So, Jaci, thank you so much for joining us here on the Awaken
No,
Woman
thank
podcast.
you. I really, really appreciate you inviting me to do this.
It's been such a blast. Thank you again. For anyone that's listening, please go ahead. I'm going to drop Jaci's details here. Please go ahead and follow and make sure you keep abreast of her progress, because she's going to be an amazing supporter and a consultant for mums. And you're going to do incredible things. And I can't wait to watch your progress. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
And
Thanks, Claire.
no worries. We'll look forward to seeing you all on the next episode. Bye, guys.